Ain't Hard to Tell podcast, episode 25. Dexter Henry, Bryan Fonseca here. We are back.
Yes.
And we're closing out March with
25.
25.
Quarter century of episodes.
Wow. Wow. That makes it, wow. We can't call it our silver episode, but 25 episodes.
25.
We're still here.
That's pretty dope.
We're still going strong.
And we're going to be doing this for a while. So.
And, yeah, it's good. We're closing out Women's History Month. The final episode. We had two great women's guests this month. No guests this week, just us. Mm-hmm. So you guys have to deal with that. And our producer, Matthew Finiza, who is in the house. And he's looking quite opening day official today.
Take a look at this.
Look at that.
Starter jacket.
Yeah.
Look at this. The hat.
Look at that. He's got the Mets hat.
I got a lot
He's got the Mets jacket on with the retro Mets jacket, which I like.
Yeah. I got a lot of looks on the A train today and a lot of like fist bumps and stuff.
They probably think you were going to City Field.
Probably.
Hey,
it's fine. I'll take it.
And they found out you were here,
it.
and they were like, okay.
Yeah. But
well, no, people give me a couple of nods for the Mets hat. I got the Mets shirt today.
It's good, man.
And, my daughter and I, we took some pictures this morning, ready for opening day. So that was cool. But we'll get to opening day later.
Yeah.
March, besides being Women's History Month, has also been NCAA tournament time, which has been interesting. We'll have a lot to talk about in the tournament with that as the championship game is approaching.
Not in the way you would think that we're going to talk about tournament.
But we haven't had a chance to talk about the women's NCAA tournament, Bryan.
Uh-huh.
And, we talked a lot of times, or a bunch of times, I say on this podcast, about people not showing women's sports the proper respect that it deserves.
Right.
Okay, and you see that a lot with the women's NCAA tournament. I've tuned in for some games.
So have I.
You have also tuned in for some games. UConn is looking dominant again, as they always have. Mm-hmm. And you brought it up to me this week. There's some people that have problems with that. There are people that are like, we're not here for UConn being dominant. To that, you say what?
I was telling Matt right before we started, nobody says this about Alabama football or the New England Patriots. You know what I mean? In sports that people really care about, or in basketball, the Golden State Warriors. And people may say, hey, maybe it's not quite the same because UConn, although they didn't win last year, you get the impression that they win most years. They've won a bunch of national championships over the course of really 2 decades now. Mm-hmm. And Alabama's been dominant for, I want to say 7-8 years or something like that, right? New England's been dominant for whenever Brady got drafted, whenever Drew Bledsoe got hurt.
How about the Spurs in basketball?
2001, the Spurs, same thing.
50-year win seasons. But
my thing is the theory that people have is that UConn's women's basketball is bad for the sport because of their dominance. When they don't say that about the other sports, and with me, my counter theory to that is you don't actually care about women's basketball and you don't watch it, so you're just saying it's bad from the sport from afar. Because it's not like, one thing, it's not like if they started losing every year like they did last year to Mississippi State in the Final Four, when Morgan Williams hit the buzzer beater or whatever the case may be.
Great game, fantastic game.
Exactly,
great for the sport
right?
of women's basketball.
So if that happens every year, it's not like you're going to start tuning in. I would think that, hey, if it was a man's team, like let's say Kentucky, right, with John Calipari of all people, because he's polarizing.
Yep. Let's
say that they go on this run and they're undefeated for a long period of time, and they just start winning championship after championship, or at least getting there, year after year after year. You'll find a lot of people, probably because they're in the SEC also, but you find a lot of people who will start rooting against them. You'll find a lot of people who, tune in to see them lose.
But they're still watching.
Well, that would be great if that were to happen for the women's game, if more people tuned in to try to see UConn lose. Even if that's your motive, that's your motive.
Right. Your point is
people are sports fans.
Your point is that's not even happening in the women's game. People aren't even tuning in to see people lose. And if
they're just saying that it's bad for the sport when it's not, and they know damn well that if it was a sport that they cared about, or a team that they cared about, or dare I say a gender that they cared about, then they would be tuning in to see them.
Here's how we know this to be true. We can look no further than in the 70s when UCLA was dominant and winning what? Did they win 4 years in a row? I can't remember. UCLA had the John Wooden teams, the Bill Walton teams. I'm talking
more than
about,
4 in a row, I think.
Which they were so dominant and nobody could beat them. And you know what? Y'all were tuning in. Y'all were still tuning in. So it proves that even in collegiate sports, dominant teams have not hurt people's interest. The problem is, I've said this before in the show, I'll say this again. Most of y'all don't give a damn about women. And most of y'all don't give a damn about women's sports, right? It just goes hand in hand. but they don't want to admit that. So I'm with you 100%. This whole thing that it's going to hurt the sport, stop acting like y'all care.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you really care about the sport of women's basketball? Are you taking your sons and daughters to the game?
They should be.
They should be. We spoke about that before in this too. Do they really care about the sport of women's basketball? I'm gonna advocate for women's basketball here. Look, women's basketball is a lot more. There's not as much parity in the game, I will say, as there is in the men's game right now. Which let's not act that parity in the men's game that we've seen has kind of just been a recent thing. Yeah. Right? What we've really seen.
I would even take it a step further and be like, I don't think that many people tune in for parity. Because people, at the end of the day, people watch the NBA, but people want to see the Cavs and the Warriors in the final.
I agree with you.
You know what I mean? Like, there are people that want to see Houston, whatever, but all in all, you want to see the best teams.
I think people overrate. I think people overrate parity. Because what they'll do is they'll say, like the NFL had this, time where they had a lot of parity, and people are like, oh, NFL is parity. This is why it's the best sport. Anybody can do this. And then they'll say, oh, but then the quality of play isn't what it was in the 80s when you had more dominant teams, when you saw a 14-2 Giants team or San Francisco 49ers team, and then there was really like 2 or 3 teams that could win the championship.
Yeah.
Fine. People say they like it, but then they complain that the quality is good. So what is it that you want in sports? And I agree. The people who are saying this when it comes to women's sports, they're full of you-know-what.
Yeah.
They're absolutely full of it. So you know what? Some of you guys need to watch the women's tournament, see the high level of play of some of these women that are playing the sport at a high level. We got a great championship game last year. Mm-hmm. Fantastic.
We're going to have a good Final Four coming up.
Yeah.
And UConn, they don't even win all of their games. Like, I mean, granted, yeah, they smacked around St. Francis, PA, like 140-52 or whatever it was, which is kind of hilarious. But
88 points in the first half.
But you expect that in the first round, not like that, but you expect in the first round between a 1 and 16 to be a blowout. But they had a close game with Duke where they only won by 13 points. You know what I mean? Like, not all of their wins are just smacking teams. And quite frankly, you guys, again, like, really like dominance in sports. Like, New England, if they win the AFC East every year, nobody says anything.
Yep.
People tune in to watch them lose. So I feel like, everyone tunes in for villains at the end of the day. Just make UConn a villain.
They're a rightful villain, and they are actually great for the sport.
Yeah.
You think of women's college basketball, you think of UConn first. That's not a bad thing. And they have a lot of great players that have come out of it and performed highly on a professional level overseas and here in this country. Y'all don't give a damn about it because y'all don't watch the WNBA either.
Yeah, none of y'all say anything when Jimmy Johnson wins, a bunch of cups in NASCAR.
Oh, we ain't talking about that. We ain't talking about that because I'll tell you what, I don't give a damn.
Nobody
about
watches NASCAR.
I mean, people watch it. I just don't care about NASCAR.
No, we're ignorant New Yorkers. Nobody watches NASCAR.
I don't care about NASCAR at all. Something I saw this week that I cared about, I was actually watching. I took time the other day at work to watch the Stormy Daniels interview on 60 Minutes. Ryan was like, he had no idea I was going to mention that. So I was watching it. I was watching it with a coworker, and I was watching 60 Minutes, which I had not watched in a long time.
Me neither. I did watch some of that as well, though.
Yeah, and we're not really going to get into the Stormy Daniels thing, but Anderson Cooper did a good job. I will say I was very bothered.
He did do a good job.
He did a great job in the interview. I will say I was bothered by Stormy Daniels relaying to us, the public, that when she was given a compliment by not then but now President 45, he said that she was a smart and beautiful woman. I'm paraquoting here, and that she reminded him, and obviously he was trying to flirt with her and get with her, and that needs to be prefaced, and that she reminded him of his daughter. And I almost threw up in my mouth. What?
Take a minute. What?
Are you serious?
Damn.
And this is going to transition to where I'm going, which has nothing to do
Look,
with
man, I ain't going to try and put the moves on somebody that reminds me of, like, my sister or my cousin or something
any
like
family
that.
member.
Nah.
And after I guess what I was kind of thinking about.
Maybe not even my ex.
In the whole situation of sitting there and listening to Stormy Daniels say this, I was like, how did you not get up? How did you not leave then? I'd have been like, yo, that's real creepy, man.
I don't know that much about Stormy Daniels, but
neither do
I look, maybe she had a motive. I don't know. I don't know what's good with that.
Money?
Either way,
I had a similar.
Either way, I'm just saying it's creepy.
I had a similar reaction to you
yeah.
did, but then I just was kind of like, I mean, you know,
But you know what? It was like I was like, what? But then I thought about it, and I was like, no, that's what he would do. That's what he would say.
Oh no! We don't even. Do we want to go there? Because
no.
We don't have the time to go there. Anyway, I say all this because this is what.
Look, man, November 2018. Let's go.
This is what a lot of people were tuning in for. But after 60 Minutes had another piece after that focused on Milwaukee Bucks star Giannis Antetokounmpo. And I watched this piece.
Killed that last name pronunciation.
Yeah, because you know what? Some people need to get it right. A lot of people, you lazy guys who can't get it right,
say Greek
that have to say Greek freak.
Yeah.
And look, that's where the Greek freak name really comes from. The nickname comes from is that people are just too lazy to pronounce Giannis's name.
Antetokounmpo.
Right?
Antetokounmpo.
You can do it if you practice like Bryan. You can do it if you practice like Bryan.
And you could remix that. I might scratch that up. And
I might just need like the phonetic spelling in front of me for like a day.
And then you'd be able to get it, right?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, and that's fine. Now, I've had a problem with this, and I'm going to give credit to the person that kind of brought this to my attention on my radar. Good friend of mine, friend of the podcast, Ben Griesinger, a good friend of mine. He spoke with me about this, I think, back when we started the podcast. I was at
September
kid's birthday party with Simone, and he has a young son as well, too, so that's a little older than Simone. And we were talking about this, and he was saying that how he hates the fact that nobody ever brings up Giannis's Nigerian heritage.
Yeah, and which I didn't even know about when you brought this to my attention. Yes. I had no idea he was from Nigeria.
I texted Bryan about this and how I felt after watching the 60 Minutes piece, and Bryan was like, yo, I didn't even know that.
I was like, what? With mad exclamation points.
Matt, did you know this?
No, but I knew something was up because he's Greek, but he's black, and I was just like, wait.
You haven't seen too many black people?
Yeah, I haven't seen too many black people.
Yeah, like
I've been to Astoria a couple of times, and I haven't.
Listen, and I like Greek culture and Greek food and everything.
Oh yeah,
and we talk with our boy Nick Medalinos, who spent some time in Greece.
Greek and Australian. I know of Shortsonitis, the basketball player who was from Greece.
Which reminds me, Nick and I are supposed to link up and have some good Greek food, and we got to get that done.
I think he's away.
Yeah.
Is he away now?
I think he's away.
We gotta get that.
But back to Giannis.
But anyway, back to Giannis. Matt said something was wrong. For people who don't know, Giannis Antetokounmpo, he was born in Greece, along with his siblings.
Yeah.
Giannis. His parents are Nigerian born.
Right.
They, if you want to say, defected or immigrated to Greece. Now, if you know anything about the politics in Greece with immigration, it's not a lot different than things are here. They don't want certain people there. Some of the Greek nationals don't want certain people there. So a lot of these people from African nations that come to Greece are not necessarily wanted in Greece. Okay? My problem with this claim or embrace by the Greeks of Giannis is that y'all didn't want anything to do with him until you saw that he could play basketball, right? So his tie to Greek culture really isn't that strong because a lot of people that look like him that live in Greece, they can't get documentation, they can't get papers, they can't get passports, they can't travel, they can't become citizens of Greece, right? This all happened for Giannis because of his ability to play the game. And let's also understand that Giannis Antetokounmpo was not a very highly touted prospect. Most people before he came into the league didn't even know about him on a scouting level, right? He really kind of built, if you know his story, he really kind of just surprised a lot of people. And so it's not until this fame that this guy had has the Greek culture, Greek people embraced him. Now you see him, he's called a Greek freak. You see a lot of Greek folks in Milwaukee at the game. I just saw something in this piece for 60 Minutes with him singing the national anthem with them. What bothered me is that I think sometimes his Nigerian heritage gets glossed over. 60 Minutes did a fantastic job for the most part on this piece, and I tend to like their work. I think that they glossed over it. They didn't really mention it. It was just like, oh, his parents are from Nigeria, and now they're living in Greece, and he's there too, and he's embraced this whole Greek thing. And I'm like, but were they really embracing him before, and do they embrace people that look like him? So in a way, I think the story of Giannis Antetokounmpo has been whitewashed.
I want to know if, because I've seen some of the videos you're talking about, like, you know, you'll scroll down your Instagram feed or Twitter or whatever the case may be, and you'll see that he'll walk out, and then all the Greek fans will be like, they'll have flags, they'll be like celebrating him, whatever the case may be, and he'll be there. And I'm wondering if in the back of his mind, does he ever think like, damn, this is cool, but I remember a time where they didn't really accept me? Is he on some, it's great that they accept me now, or is he on some, does anybody know about my Nigerian heritage, or is he like,
if you look
it is
at
what it is.
From what I take, I obviously don't know.
I would love to know
personally, but from what I saw in this piece for 60 Minutes, he has totally embraced the Greek heritage and them embracing him. Now, here's the thing you have to understand. The culture of Greece is all he knows because that's where he was born.
Yeah.
So to some degree, I understand that,
yeah.
right? But I do see a little bit of where you might feel a kind of way about that. And I want to read this quote that I sent you this article.
Yeah.
This was an article written by Kurt Helen for NBC Sports back in 2013. Mm-hmm. And the title says, Greece wanted nothing to do, this is the headline, to do with his family, Antetokounmpo, until NBA noticed his basketball skills, right?
Yeah.
And
this is right before his career started. He had just gotten drafted that year.
Yes.
2013.
Just got it. So this is somebody who wrote this early. And we're going to take a break after I read this quote. But also should be noted, as I said, they are Nigerian. They were illegal immigrants here, okay? And Antetokounmpo told Jim Arsarzi from Milwaukee.com, the interest, this is a quote, the interest from NBA personnel departments helped the brothers earn spots on the Greek national team. An issue had to be resolved. However, in order to travel, they needed passports. To have a passport, they needed citizenship. Giannis, his brother Thanasis, and Kostas, and Alex, 4 children, were all born in Greece. But as children of Nigerian immigrants, they were never recognized as Greeks. Nothing was ever steady, certain. They faced evictions, moved from place to place. They survived together as a family, the boys selling sunglasses, hats, and bags on the streets. Mother Veronica babysat. Father Charles worked as a handyman. Once Giannis and Thanasis picked up a basketball, they even had to share the same shoes. For 20 years they were illegal, he continued. It's very hard to live for 20 years without papers. Very, very hard. You have children. You have to go out and work without papers. At any moment, the cops can stop you and say, come over here and let me send you back to your country. For me, my parents, they are heroes. This was a quote by Giannis saying this, right? Yeah. The writer then points out, say, don't miss out on the hypocrisy here. As soon as they found out Antetokounmpo could play ball, suddenly the Greek nation that made them live in the shadows for 2 decades embraced the family like prodigal sons. They've met the prime minister now, are treated like heroes. Lots of nations, when times get tough and unemployment rises, some people see scapegoats and people thinking that they don't belong. Right? That's the hypocrisy. I do agree with this author that there is some hypocrisy there. There are a lot of Nigerian and African people in Greece that have to live in the shadows, that are afraid of getting stopped, just like people in this country.
Yeah, I was going to say, just like people
afraid
here.
of getting stopped, afraid of getting sent back to their countries.
I heard a story about Dan Le Batard. He said this recently, like his father named him Dan, and his brother, what's his brother's name? But another common American name, I think maybe David or something like that, to avoid, that sort of discrimination.
I think the same thing happened with Giannis here.
You know what I mean? Like, to avoid that sort of discrimination because they're, Cuban Americans. So that happens. That's the thing that happens in this country as well. And that's pretty eye-opening because, I want to know how he feels about that. And
really?
Also,
Truly. Now, he has applied for trademark of the Greek freak name. So
which he should.
He's embraced,
get your money.
He should. Get your money. But I'm wondering how deep down he really feels about the hypocrisy of it. It's interesting.
And I want to know, like, how he is with, about his Nigerian heritage.
Yeah, I know there's been some talk about asking him and Victor Oladipo to play for the Nigerian national team, which I actually would like to see. I think would be good for African basketball and Nigeria, period.
Yeah.
But I think Giannis is going to play in the next Olympics for the Greek team. We got to take a break, though.
Yeah.
When we come
back. You killed that read, by the way. Not one hiccup.
Well, this is what I was
observing that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
4 paragraphs, no hiccups.
No hiccups. Thank you. I feel like Matt was going to say something, but he didn't go there, so I'm actually glad he didn't. When we come back, we're going to talk to Matt about his Utah Jazz as they're trying to get a playoff spot. We're going to talk about why we are tired of hearing about Sister Jean and the NCAA tournament with Loyola, Maryland. And also,
sorry, Milton Doyle.
You see us rocking this MLB gear. Mets season is about to start. We're going to talk to you about why we're excited about opening day when we come back on the Ain't Hard to Tell podcast. What's up, listeners? Sometimes how it can be hard just to get from point A to point B. Now, when I have to get anywhere and I don't want to deal with the hassle of public transportation, it ain't hard to tell how I get around. I always make sure to use the best car service app in the game. I'm talking about Lyft. Lyft offers rides in minutes. All you have to do is download the Lyft app, request a ride, and you will be on your way quickly. Lyft is all about happy riders and happy drivers. Take a ride with them and you'll see why 9 out of 10 rides end up with a 5-star rating. Lyft always has amazing offers for new customers, and I'm here to tell our listeners about a great offer today. Lyft is currently offering free ride credit to Ain't Hard to Tell listeners. If you are new to Lyft, then you are eligible, and getting your credit is easy. All you have to do is download the app and use the promo code AHTTPOD to unlock your free credit today. Ain't hard to tell who has the best car app service, so use the code today and ride out loud with Lyft. The best new sports web series is here. It's from Backpack Broadcasting, and it's called The Sports Walk. The Sports Walk is a series where diverse sports fans take a walk and share their views at the intersection of sports and society. The entire first season is now available on Backpack Broadcasting's YouTube channel and backpackbroadcasting.com. See what other sports fans have to say about a variety of issues in the world of sports. Watch all 13 episodes from season 1 and take The Sports Walk today. All right, welcome back to the Ain't Hard to Tell podcast, episode 25. Brian is excited. I'll tell you what Brian's not excited about. He has enjoyed this Loyola, Maryland run to the Final Four.
Chicago.
Loyola,
Chicago.
Excuse me.
Loyola, Maryland's in Baltimore.
Yeah, that's two different things.
Two different teams.
Well, that's why I explain why we're both tired of something here. I'm tired. I couldn't even get the name of the team right.
Oh, man.
Loyola, Chicago, I apologize. They have had this historic run to the Final Four. And it's very interesting, but somebody has been stealing the spotlight, and Brian's not happy with it.
He's not.
He's coming for her neck right now.
Let me defend.
I just hit the table. I can't believe I did that.
I'm gonna defend myself.
Calm down, Dex.
Yeah, you hit the table before me. No, I think
down.
I hit it in the first segment. I'm pretty sure.
Of course. It wouldn't be a podcast if you don't hit the table.
Yeah,
a bunch of times. That's right.
Yeah.
I'd be messing up the audio like
Yeah.
that. Sorry, guys.
It's all right.
But anyway,
Yes.
Set it up.
So, Sister Jean, I'm tired of the coverage of her. Just because we see Loyola on this great George Mason-like run, VCU-like run, coming as an 11 seed and getting all the way to the Final Four. But as they're winning these games, I noticed that nobody's saying anything about the players. Nobody's saying anything about the coach.
Who are they talking about, Brian?
I don't know. I had to look it up because Milton Doyle, who's with the Brooklyn Nets, who we interviewed recently regarding, Loyola, Chicago, or whatever the case may be, I was like, who are these teammates that he's speaking of? So I looked them up and things of that nature. Mm-hmm. Because I'm like, I'm watching these games and they keep putting Sister Jean on. Like, I get it. She's 98,
Sister Jean is a nun.
She's a super fan of the team.
Yeah.
A nun who, Milton Doyle says that even when he was there, and granted, he was like one of their only NBA players ever. When he was there the last 4 years, she would send out emails to each player individually after the game. Positive and negative feedback, right? So she would send out these emails, and I asked them, like, what did you like the feedback?
Yo, after one game, he was like, Sister Jean, you ain't gonna step on the court, man.
That's what I asked him, were you ever like, you don't know what you're talking about? Or he was like, nah, because she knows what she's talking about. She knows basketball. She knows feedback, whatever. She's good at the feedback. I don't mind that part of it. My thing is, I want more coverage on the players. Why are we not getting feature packages, video packages, feature stories done on the players as opposed to everyone just catering after Sister Jean? You know what I mean?
Wait, Matt, you're looking at Brian funny. Do you think Brian's being a hater?
I don't think
hating on Sister Jean.
No. At the end of the day, it's these kids on the floor that are winning the games. She's not winning the games.
And by the way, making millions of dollars
for the school. Yeah, and I
don't know if it's actually millions.
And I think they're making there's
school
bobbleheads of Sister Jean. Like, they're just capitalizing on this, which essentially is like. But the kids at the end of the day are making the baskets. They're winning these games. She's just sitting on the sideline cheering them on like she's done since 1964 or 63 or 68. It's one of those 60s when Loyola won, and she was there for it. So, like, all good by her, and she probably does know her stuff, but these kids are winning the games. She's not winning the games.
Like when she had an interview with the TBS or TNT or whatever crew it was after the game, and she had her hat backwards. I'm scrolling down my Twitter feed.
I didn't see that.
And they're like, oh my God, she has her hat backwards. And I'm like, yo,
really?
Dog. Like,
really?
Like, I don't
That's
care.
That's what we are?
Man.
We're excited because Sister Jean put her hat backwards?
And do we want to get into really why people are enamored with her?
Notice it. Sister Jean can wear a hat backwards, but people had a problem with Ronald Acuna wearing his hat a little tilted up. That's where y'all at. Really?
There you go.
Yeah. Like, come on, man. I'm not.
So you're over Sister Jean. You know this. You know.
I want the players to get the attention they deserve. Because at least when George Mason was getting to the Final Four, I learned who Jai Lewis was.
Right.
I learned when VCU was getting there who Joey Rodriguez was.
And Shaka Smart as head coach.
And Shaka Smart, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah.
Now you know that we're recording this a couple days before the Final Four, but you know when you look at the Final Four this weekend before the Loyola-Chicago plays Michigan, I'm sure there'll be a piece and they'll have something to do with Sister Jean. They'll do some kind of pregame piece, and Brian's gonna throw up.
Yeah.
From seeing this, sick of Sister Jean. This is not hate on Sister Jean. I understand. I think
I'm not gonna throw up.
I don't really know too many of the players on Loyola Chicago.
I don't know any. The only story I know is that they were like they play Fortnite on the bus rides. That's the only.
Which I'm sure everybody does now.
Yeah. But the thing is, though, like
I need to get into. But I will start this weekend.
But here's the thing, though. These kids are winning these games, these buzzer beaters. Why don't you have stories on the kids that made the shot after each game? Every game they won was a buzzer beater.
Oh, my God. If this was a New York team, I would be all over 100%. You know that.
But the thing is, the only story that I personally have seen on these players was that they played Fortnite in the hotel room before a game or after a game.
Everybody does.
Exactly. So, and they're starting a trend where other teams where they're trying to find father so-and-so.
Yes,
father
that's where I was going.
I just banged the table.
Because the other day, he told me about how sick he was of Sister Jean. And I was like, oh, look at this story. They tried to find Father Brown from Michigan, and it's like Father Brown and Sister Jean are supposed to meet before the game.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. They also found Jalen Rose's grandmother, who's 100. So shout out to her for still being here.
Now shout out to her for still being here. And
Sister Jean too.
You know that, especially they're gonna play it up this week, especially with Easter Sunday. We got Good Friday and Easter Sunday.
Yeah.
And they're gonna
feel good days.
They're gonna have their holy blessing, and the day after, and all this other stuff that's gonna go on. No disrespect to anybody's faith, but they're gonna play that up for sure this weekend.
Here's the one thing that I gotta say is that.
And then we're done with Sister Jean.
Yeah, most of these schools, please. All of these schools, at least the Catholic colleges that I know of, they all have a priest on their bench. They all have some religious figure that travels with them, gives them blessings and stuff like that.
St. Francis has one.
They do, exactly. So here's the thing, like the only thing is like it was just a perfect storm of how she's 98 and
I get it. She's she's an older woman and she's there and she's energy and she's some spunk. I get it, but Brian's right. Can we talk? I understand the draw, but can we talk about the players?
100%.
So when we talked to Milton Doyle at Nets practice on Monday, we were talking about this. I may or may not have been the only reporter whose headline did not include Sister Jean.
Rightfully so.
And in respect to everybody else, but I did that purposely because I did not want to shine any more light about this. I focused on Milton Doyle talking about Loyola, talking about the team, also talked about Sister Jean. There's a quote in there if you want to look at it. That's daily.com.
You should check out the story. We're done with Sister Jean here.
Next
you know what though? I would love to see. On the flip side, I would love to see Loyola Chicago win the entire tournament because I am very much for mid-major basketball. You know what I mean? Like, I would love to see them beat Michigan, beat Villanova or Kansas. I would love to see that.
That would be dope.
I don't think it's going to happen because I think Michigan's going to beat them by 15.
I'm just mad because they ruined my Final Four. Because I have 3 of the 4 Final Four.
Mine is destroyed. You got like 99% of our thing. I went up a little bit. Maria, I'm still trying to catch you.
It's not gonna happen.
I just want to beat Maria.
People still looking at the brackets?
Yeah.
Because I stopped doing that a long time ago.
Jeff is all the way at the bottom. Jeff and Maddie P are all the way at the bottom. I just want to beat Maria.
I don't even know where I stand. I don't know where I am.
Yeah.
So,
you're somewhere down there.
I didn't even care.
I knew I was gonna win.
The one thing I will say in college basketball before we move on. Very excited the other day. My school, Pitt Panthers. They're coming back. I'm saying it right here now. We're coming back.
And I agree.
We're coming for all of y'all.
Yeah.
All of y'all who thought we were down, laughed at us for not winning a conference game. I like to hire Pitt. Jeff Capel, assistant at Duke.
A brother.
Yes, I like to hire. I really, really like to hire. Considering the way the coach search was going, I think it ended up very well. Yeah. I'm excited about it. Not going to spend too much time in it. No. I'm telling y'all ACC people out there, Syracuse can't stand y'all. we coming for you guys.
What was the year
We're coming back.
What was the year that you guys made the Elite Eight?
I won't talk about that.
No. I didn't bring it up for bad memories. But I'm trying to remember how long ago was that?
2009.
Oh yeah.
I was gonna say it's not that long ago, but I just realized it's 2018. So
that was the DeJuan Blair one. How's the furthest you've gone since then? I'm seriously asking. I'm not even trying to be like
Sweet 16.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Sweet 16.
And lost.
I think y'all can I think y'all.
Hey,
I mean, it's gonna take probably a couple years.
It's gonna take years.
College program.
We're coming back.
I think.
Oakland Zoo is gonna be rocking again.
I say.
I will be down there for a game.
I say towards the end of the second year and the third year.
Yeah, I can
of
see
that
that.
coach
Probably.
being there.
Not to get into too much of a deep dive, but
no,
I do feel like they'll overachieve this year because their expectation going in
so low.
It'll be like this, whatever they did this year. That's what people will expect to repeat.
You can't get any worse than 0-17 in conference.
Yeah, no. I think maybe you'll see them get close to 500. You know what I mean?
That'd be asking a lot.
Instead of 0-18, maybe you'll get to 7-11.
Let's see who stays. That's what's key. We'll see. Now with him coming, we'll see who stays.
Yeah.
Moving on,
There's
NBA. Yeah, that's your Pitt analysis. you won't be getting some of that for a while. Moving on to the NBA.
Next October.
Checking in on Matt because his Utah Jazz just lost a tough game to the Celtics. They're fighting for a playoff spot. How confident are you that they're going to make the playoffs? It's very crazy in the West.
Donovan Mitchell, Rookie of the Year.
Rookie of the Year. Ben Simmons, where you at? Come at me on Twitter. Everyone's coming at me.
That's an interesting debate. I'm going to get into that when the season's done. We're going to save that for another.
I give it to Donovan Mitchell for right now. I'm not even trying to be on Matt.
No, we're going to debate end of the year awards when the season's over. We're going to do this.
I'm kind of confident we're going to make an 8th spot, just the way we're playing right now. Last night was a terrible loss. They gave a 30-point lead, I think, in the fourth quarter away, they had a ridiculous lead and they gave that away. And whenever I watch basketball and a team I'm rooting for gives away a lead like that and they lose, I ain't even mad because they deserve to lose that game. So yesterday, they deserved to lose that game giving away a lead like that.
So when that starts happening to the Mets, will you react the same way?
Well, as a Met fan, I don't really go in that optimistic. So
we'll get to that in a second.
I was going to say you look very optimistic today.
Everybody looks optimistic on opening day.
Yeah.
I look optimistic. You might never see me wear this again after today.
Even Ray fans are like optimistic. Yeah. Marlins fans are optimistic.
Hope springs eternal on opening day.
Yeah. So
you have a Granderson shirt on.
Yeah.
Yeah. That shows you how optimistic I am. Still living in the past.
I'm enjoying the basketball they're playing. It's fun. I think they'll make an 8th spot, but right now where they're setting up, they're looking to face Houston in the first round, which is like
4-1.
But I think they'll make the playoffs. That West is insane though because it's between 4 teams. It's tied between
and it's been like
3.5 games. Yeah, it's crazy.
It's crazy.
you really don't know what's going on. They just gotta keep playing hard. Can't give up losses like that. But I'm confident they'll make an 8th spot. I'm not gonna say
Rudy Gobert Defensive Player of the Year.
I'm gonna say no. Dex texted me about this the other day.
Yeah, I don't want to get into it too much because of we're gonna talk about it at the end of the year. But I have my reasons why I think he should be. Yeah. I'll get into that more later. I can see things.
Will the last 2 weeks sway you?
No, probably not. Probably not. It'll just be interesting how writers vote on this because of the time he's missed. But we'll get into that later.
Yeah.
What I will say about Matt's Jazz real quick, if you haven't noticed, we have added a new T-shirt to our TeePublic store.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
That Matt actually designed himself as a Jazz fan.
I did it in 5 minutes.
It's a response to my thing telling him about he misses Gordon Hayward. So I say check it out at our TeePublic store.
TeePublic.com.
If you don't know, you can see it in the ad or listen to the ad that we've had. So we'll get into that. I don't really have anything to say about my team as far as basketball goes.
Yeah.
They look like they're probably going to pick somewhere between 7 and 9. They probably did too much winning in the last week.
Yep.
But,
you also have mad injuries.
Yeah. You know, what I will say, I will say a couple things real quick. Number one, injuries. Trey Burke has shown to me that he is a rotation player with the Knicks. It was a good find. He's on a non-guaranteed deal, kind of like our boy Spencer Dinwiddie. Knicks will have control of him next year. I think he can be a good rotation player off the bench. He reminds me of a Lou Williams type. Number 2, I will say, for those of you out there that were on the Emmanuel Mudiay bandwagon, he cannot play.
Sky Zoo.
I was trying to tell you guys that. I was telling you guys that, including Sky Zoo sat here, and I did not agree with him.
Sat right here.
I did not agree with him. I don't understand how you could defend Mudiay. Don't give me this stuff about he needs more time.
Your album is great, though.
The guy can't defend, and we love to have you here. Come back. We talk about this next year. The guy can't defend. The guy can't shoot. His basketball IQ is horrible. Personally, I don't want to see him on the floor anymore.
Too bad.
Give Ntilikina more time. Play him with Burke like they've been doing lately.
Do me a favor.
The backcourt looks fine like that.
Clip this. So then we'll tweet out this clip and we'll tag him in it.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
But the last thing I put about the Knicks, where I did agree, and I agree even more with Sky Zoo, is I do like more, as we're looking at where the Knicks could pick, getting one of the Bridges, McCall or Miles.
Miles just signed an agent with
Yeah.
Rich Paul.
Seems to
which
be
is interesting.
a good fit for the Knicks. So I would like either one of those in the draft. That's all I really have to say about the Knicks. With what Matt said, I'm very excited about the way the season. I'm watching all these games on League Pass because the West is so crazy every night. I'm always tuned in, but I'm really tuned in.
Yeah.
I'm flipping through games because the West is so crazy. So the end of the regular season is really excited. But I'm ready for the playoffs, man. I'm ready.
I think Portland is a team that I'm watching closely.
I like how they've been playing.
I
They had a
think
bad
Portland,
loss
100%.
to.
I am a big believer in Damian Lillard, and I feel like Portland could surprise people.
Rip City.
Yes.
City. No, they're playing tough and they're executing well down the stretch. They had a good win against New Orleans the other night.
They did.
So they're executing
And they're
well down the stretch.
They're third right
They're
now.
third. They
so.
played real. They figured out their offense. That's what's been interesting for them. Before we go to break, obviously you're not, because we don't know why you didn't get the opening day memo. We don't know what you're doing, not wearing anything.
I have a Puerto Rican flag on my hat. Is that the hat that I took today?
Yeah, you did.
I have a Puerto Rican flag on my hat, and my
100%. country
country is well represented in the sport. We have Francisco Lindor. We have Carlos Correa.
Except y'all don't be playing the game the right way.
Allegedly. That's a joke for you guys who
You
don't
have
get
Seth
it.
Lugo?
But anyway. But yeah, so we are well represented.
Are you excited about opening day? Because you can, if you're watching this podcast, you can clearly see Matt and I are.
I'm not excited about opening day. I'm more excited about the show, which I just bought, which right now is processing into my PlayStation 4 as we speak.
Nice.
I will
I'm
be
jealous.
playing that. I won't probably dive deeply into that because next week is UFC 223 and this week is Dick's Nationals. Well, Geico Nationals now.
Yes, they're no longer sponsored.
Right. So after all that, or maybe I'll find some time during. I will deeply.
So you're more excited about the show than
And then
opening day.
but then after I get into the show, I will get more into baseball. See how that kind of works?
Yeah,
Okay,
I
fair enough.
100%.
I don't know if
works,
I'm
yeah.
buying the show this year. I haven't decided yet. I know Matt does this every other year.
Yeah,
Purchase.
so
just-
this year is
it
not
just-
a.
Well, can we,
It
can
just
we,
came
can
out
we,
Tuesday.
Can we talk about one thing I will say quickly is that franchise has been rocking for a while, but how fantastic of a franchise they are and the detail and everything they put into the game.
Best baseball game around.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
They're fantastic. I mean,
And it has been since.
for a while. They haven't.
Yeah.
They've
Yeah.
been down. EA can't even try with coming out with a baseball.
2K
set.
tried. It was just.
Yeah, and I mean they've been fantastic. Well, this is a fantastic game.
Yeah. Your point
So
was about to be.
my point was just that I just want to say that it was a fantastic game. I just want to give them kudos to it. And I
Nice.
haven't bought it in 2 years, but I may buy this year.
Even though Aaron
Matt,
Judge is on the cover.
I like Aaron Judge though.
Oh, okay.
No,
Oh, he's on the cover?
Yeah.
No, I
I didn't know he was on the
that.
cover this
No.
year. Yeah. How excited are you for opening day? Obviously, huge Mets fans like myself.
Super excited.
Are you super optimistic?
Yeah. What's your?
I want to gauge both
prediction
of
for
you
the
okay.
Mets.
because I grew up a
Wins.
Met fan as well.
I wrote a note on my phone about. I made it like a. I was talking to my dad. Said they're going to be above 500, so I'm going to say around 88, 90 something wins. I'm going to say 90 wins.
Wow, you're going. I'm saying 87, 80. I'm gonna say 88 wins.
I'll say
I
90
was
wins.
actually at 85, so we're in the same
Yeah, it's
kind
kinda in the
But it's
same
85.
ballpark.
88 should 90 should definitely get you in the wild
90
card.
if they stay healthy.
Healthy.
That's
Unlike
the thing.
88 should get you.
unlike
there.
But I don't-
Salvador
I just-
Perez. You guys hear about Salvador
Yes.
Salvador Perez?
Yes.
Crazy.
I'm more intrigued. The most intriguing thing to me with the Mets are the minor league prospects, not Tim Tebow, Ahmed Rosario,
Yeah.
Dominic Smith.
Well,
Like I want to see
Dominic Smith
Justin
is-
Dunn. Like I want
yeah.
to see how these guys develop.
Look, the Mets, I think it's going to be all about pitching. We'll see what they can do. I think, obviously, on opening day, you're always excited. There's a chance. there's always a chance.
Yeah, and I got to see some of these guys too covering the Cyclones like the year before last year.
That's crazy, yeah.
So we'll see what
Jose
they
Reyes.
do.
Future should be bright. Yeah, Jose Reyes was there.
Yeah,
we were both there.
I love that.
I was there. We were both there that day. I was there that day. That's right. I was definitely there that day.
I might head back down to Coney Island this summer.
It's good to see some minor league games out there.
It's good. It's fun.
It's fun. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about Cardi B. Long-awaited album is dropping April 6th. We'll talk about if we're excited for that, if anybody is. We're also going to talk about how people sometimes do too much on Twitter and they come for your teams when they really shouldn't be saying anything at all. And some of y'all need to fall back.
And I have another food question.
And another food
that's
question. That's
becoming our specialty. Hip-hop, food, sports. We got another food question.
We promise we won't talk about the food at MSG. When we come back on the Ain't Hard to Tell podcast.
Sports Guru is the place where fans talk about sports via video. All videos are 60 seconds or shorter. Sports Guru makes the video look more professional and fun by adding automated on-screen graphics. You can follow your favorite sports by team, trending, new, or by people you follow, and more. Type in the title of your video and it will auto-magically go into your on-screen graphics. It's just that simple. Tag your teams and publish sports. Let's talk sports.
It ain't hard to tell where to get the latest merchandise from Backpack Broadcasting. Gear is now available via TeePublic. Visit the Backpack Broadcasting TeePublic online store to get shirts, hoodies, mugs, and phone cases. Represent your favorite Backpack Broadcasting shows, including the Sports Walk, Sideline Stories, and of course, the Ain't Hard to Tell podcast. Check out the special offers for our podcast listeners at http://t.pub/lic/backpack. Get in the game with your official Backpack Broadcasting gear today. Episode 25, we are back on the Ain't Hard to Tell podcast, and we're going to close it out by talking a little hip-hop like we always do. Cardi B, Matt's favorite rapper, is
one of my top five.
Finally dropping the album.
When you said Cardi B to tease this segment, he just waved his hands like, no.
Don't include me in this, please.
Cardi B is finally
dropping. Are you a Cardi
B
fan?
No.
I do think she's good at ad-libs, though. She should really hop on a track. Did she hop on a track with Migos yet?
Oh, yeah.
She's done one with all. She's done one with all.
Motorsport.
She should just,
I'm intrigued by Cardi.
Sure.
I mean, I don't think she is like amazing.
I'm intrigued.
Or
Cardi B is. I'm not like wowed by her.
I will listen to the album when it comes out.
You know, I
gotta listen to that Black Milk album first.
I understand, which I listen to. I'll get to that in a second.
Yes.
I understand that everybody champions Cardi B because there can always only be one mainstream,
which I don't like. I mean, you can have more than
hip hop artist at the time. I mean, she doesn't excite me in a way I'd be excited to listen to a Rhapsody album.
I was gonna say that,
but I will check it out because I don't think Cardi B is a bad rapper by any means. I think Cardi B is solid.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked Bodak Yellow. Am I excited for this album? No. Will I listen to it?
Yeah.
Yes, because I'm going to. As a fan of hip hop, I'm intrigued to see what she can put together.
Right.
My first thing is she released the album title, which is called Invasion of Privacy. Interesting album title, I will say.
Okay.
Album cover and the artwork.
Oh wait. Let me look this up.
Yeah, pull that up.
I am not a fan of the artwork. It looks like a mismatch between like Missy Elliott's Super Duper Fly album cover.
What is that?
That's kind of what I said. Like Matt's response is, what is that?
Matt's response.
Now let me say this before I let you talk, Brian.
Yeah.
I'm not a big album art cover person. Like, you could have a trash
album. Let me get into that now.
Art cover, but you can have a really good album. It doesn't matter. Like, your album art cover could be black. It could be all white. Who cares?
Yeah.
If the music is good, the music is good. That's really what I care about.
I agree with that.
This is just not visually
to an
appealing.
extent.
Like, I actually got to close this off my laptop.
There are some album covers. That's not as bad because I see what they're going for too. Like, in her first two mixtapes, she was more like, I guess, hood, for example, and she's still trying to maintain that here while, acknowledging that she's on the come up. My thing with album covers now is I feel like some of them are oversimplified. Like, I don't like, and I'm a big Joel Ortiz fan. Joel Ortiz had an album with Illmind that came out a couple years ago called Human.
Yeah.
The album cover was literally the word human in white over a black.
I didn't mind that.
Whatever.
That didn't bother me.
I don't like that.
That didn't bother me at all.
I'm like, yo, like, come on. Like,
something simplistic like that to me is better than this, where I feel like you're.
If it reflects the music on the album,
I'm gonna give you another one.
It kind of makes you want to think.
That you don't like?
Yes. There's the cover of Freddie Gibbs' Thuggin' EP with Madden. I don't like this cover at all. It's just a gold thing.
Here's why I have no problem with that. I had totally fine when Kendrick did it with Untitled Unmastered. No problem with that.
That's actually one of my favorite Kendrick projects.
I don't remember what that cover was.
It's just like that, but it's like kind of green.
Yeah, I get it. People are trying to like whatever, just be simple with it and just boom, here it is. Like I don't like that. I just don't. But anyway, back to the Cardi B thing. I'm intrigued by her as an artist.
Yeah.
I am over it already. Like, you know, I'm at the point even before this, I was like, yo, just come out with the album already. Because with me, it's like with social media, people just latch on to things just to latch on to things. And I don't want to get on this whole tirade again. Yeah. But how everything's just, you know, popularity doesn't equate to good and all that stuff. But with Cardi B, I'm at least intrigued because she's demonstrated that she knows what she's doing to some extent. And Atlantic is obviously has a lot invested in her. So I want to see what happens when that album comes out. Yeah, how does it do? I'm actually gonna.
I might listen to it.
But see, Invasion of Privacy is an album title that leads me to think that you're gonna be introspective, and I'm not really anticipating that from this.
I don't expect that.
I'm not anticipating that from this. I hope I'm wrong.
I'd like to hear explain.
I'm not expecting an All Love Lost Joe Budden type of album, but I'm expecting. You know, maybe she'll have a few songs there instead of her. But what I'm really expecting is her just, you know, just talking about haters and just going in about, you know, certain things and things like that. But if the songs are good, the songs are good.
We'll see if it has a.
Do you think she'll flex on the album?
Oh God, yeah,
100%.
But I also want to know. I also want to see if it's. I'm not. If it's 18 songs. I'm not.
We're not even gonna go to how I feel about that. You know how I feel about that.
Yeah, like you know, with certain. I mean, you saw the track list for Book of Ryan. And you were like 20 songs.
Yeah, I'm concerned. Although
and 3 skits.
Yeah, I don't like that.
And an intro that says intro, which leads me to believe that may be a 4th skit.
Is there an outro?
No.
On only one feature, J. Cole.
Okay.
Which is a fantastic song.
Phenomenal
song. My favorite hip hop song right now.
Yeah.
I can
has a great
go
video
into that whole artist discussion,
but anyway,
we have stuff to get into before we wrap.
Moving on because we have to wrap up. We're running out of time. Matt was obviously watching his Utah Jazz the night before we recorded this.
Take note.
They had a tough loss, which he should take note of, where Jaylen Brown hit a 3-pointer to beat the game, and then somebody we know.
We're not gonna say names.
You're not gonna say his name.
No.
Came for Matt on Twitter,
yes.
#1 Jazz fan in New York, came for him and decided to talk a little, you know, to have a little smack talk.
A little smack.
And this person is, like myself, is a Knicks fan.
Yep.
Now, here's what I would like to say to people, okay? When you're where the Knicks are, which is down, you can't come with a team that's competing for a playoff spot and talk trash. You can't do it. You can't do it. Be humble, sit down. You can't do it. You can't talk the trash when your team is down.
Because
you look real corny.
Well, I'm the type of person where I will probably talk trash no matter what the situation is.
Yes, you are that kind of person.
But I'm not talking about like fan of a team. I'm talking about I'll talk trash in the 12th round of a fight where I'm getting my ass whooped for 11 rounds. You know what I mean? Like I will do that.
No, see,
sometimes you got to psych yourself up, although that's a totally different situation than fandom. You know what I mean?
Also, because you could get knocked out.
We're talking about sports teams. You know what I mean? Like that's different.
As a fan,
it's completely different.
Man, I don't know how you got to put those people in their place.
I did. So he came at me. He was he joined the bandwagon of that SpongeBob meme of him leaning against whatever, like
naked.
Yeah.
I don't know where did these SpongeBob memes come from.
Apparently, there's a thing now, like there's a new SpongeBob meme per week. But he came after me at that, and
I'm tired of memes.
He's like Matt's reaction after the Utah Jazz loss. I was like, haha, whatever. I responded with Office GIF as a parody, like I just brushed it off. He kept coming at me with this GIF of a parrot and glasses. Over and over again saying deal with it. And I was just like, all right, hold on. I was like,
there's one of Sister Jean doing that, which annoyed the hell out of me.
I might have to use that. I'm hit up to Bryan. Anyways.
When they beat Michigan.
No more Sister
Jean. So anyways, I was like, yo, why are you coming at me? Who are you a fan of? He responds at NY Knicks. I responded, #take note. with the gif of 50 Cent looking at the camera in his car. He's like,
he's driving
and
like
he
this.
just drives away.
And then he's just like,
yeah. And he just drives away, and I didn't get no response after that. I was like, yeah, know your place. Like, know your place, bro. Like, don't come at me.
You finished him.
Yeah, legitimately.
Fatality.
Also, legitimately, I don't think he knows basketball that much. I'm not gonna assume, but it's like I don't like when people come. Yeah, I don't like when people come after me and they don't really know a sport in and out.
Oh.
Like, that's all I gotta say. Like,
you know who you are.
Yeah, you know who you are. And if you know
who you are.
if you know the Western Conference and you know how big this means and all that in the division and all that stuff like that, maybe I'll take you more legitimate. But if you're just coming to annoy me and stuff like that, I'm gonna shut you down.
He's gonna
quick.
he's gonna follow
I'm
you.
gonna fire back quick.
He's gonna follow you. People will be all in their feelings
Oh,
and
yeah.
start following
Yeah,
you. It
yeah,
happens
yeah.
all the time. Brian and I were talking about this the other day.
Yeah.
People be all in their feelings and just start following
No.
you. We'll save that for another time.
Take note. Just take note where your place is and be humble.
Just take note. Last thing before we wrap up, Brian had posted
Right
me
on
this.
time.
Brian posted me. Brian, why did you post me this question the other day about the quality food?
Basically, I was debating. So I'm covering the NIT right now. Spoiler alert.
Why?
I mean, it's
Listen,
basketball.
man.
Not invited tournament.
I do everything.
That's actually good. I never.
You never heard that before?
No, I haven't.
That's
Not invited
that's
tournament.
yeah,
I put
that's-
I
that's
put
the
it on
thing.
as background noise between the the Elite Eight and the Final Four.
Here's the thing. I was actually excited for the NIT tournament because I wanted to see Penn State. Penn State has probably
Yeah.
the only NBA prospect left in the tournament who
Yeah.
could be a Nick or a Net.
Also,
Second round.
You know what I mean? Or
Follow,
somebody
yeah.
else.
Also,
May
go back.
1st maybe.
Go back to Brian's feed of the Western Kentucky game because his coverage on the Hilltopper was
Yes,
great.
I saw that.
I loved it
Really
so
good.
much.
The
That
mascot.
was great.
I was
That-
hoping
That
that.
mascot
Yeah.
was lit.
I was
Yeah.
actually hoping Western Kentucky would beat Utah just because of
Just
that.
because you could see
but
it.
that didn't end up happening. But tonight, the night we're recording this, Penn State, Utah, 7 p.m. at the Garden. So before I went to the Garden to cover the semifinals
Yes.
on Tuesday, my mother had a day off. So I was talking to her, and we got into the whole debate of would you rather pay for good quality food or settle for bad free food? Because I posed that question just because I was about to head to the Garden. We talked about the Garden media food.
Sorry, Garden. We apologize.
Because
love you.
because
We love you.
the teriyaki bowl that I normally get when I'm doing Liberty games there, although that may not be happening this summer because they're in Westchester.
Yep.
That thing is
Damn.
banging. Thanks for the voucher. But anyway, what's it called? So we get to the media food, and then I'm just like, do I want to pay for good quality food or settle for whatever's there? I'm not really a big fan of their food, and there's a spot right by there, right across from Modell's. It's one of those weigh and pay things. You put in some
Dope.
chicken, you put in whatever, you weigh it, whatever. Me and Jeff did that instead. So I wanted to ask you guys, if given the option, you may have a different answer than us because, we've had a lot more experience with this. Would you rather pay for good quality food? Whether you're trying to eat healthy, it doesn't matter. Would you just pay for good food, or would you rather just settle for whatever's there because it's free and just save $8, $10, $12, whatever it is?
I think it depends if I'm in a rush or not. If I'm in a rush and I'm hungry, I'm gonna get the food.
I was
That's
early
free.
for what it's worth.
If you were early,
Yes.
If I was early,
I
I'd
got
probably.
there at like 5.
If I was early,
Game was at 7.
yeah.
First
Here's
game.
the thing: if I was early, I would have definitely paid for outside food if I knew the food was trash. Because I'd be like, yo, I got work. I want to eat something nice. I want to
Yeah.
feel good before I got work.
That's why I did it.
You didn't exactly. But
Yeah,
if
I think it's situational.
if I got there late, say I got there maybe half an hour, 25 minutes before,
Yeah.
I'm settling for the food that's there just out of convenience and just so I can eat that real quick and then get on the court where I gotta be.
Yeah.
So I think it's all depending on where I'm at.
Dex?
I mean, I'm with Matt on that. I just think what sucks, the last thing I'll say is I think it just sucks that you have to pay so much to
Yeah.
be healthy, right? You can get
That always
so
got me,
many
man.
crappy food
I
options.
did have some
even
good-
outside of like media food, just
Yeah.
crappy food
Oh,
options.
yeah,
period.
yeah.
That is, it pays. You
Like,
have to pay
you
to
could
eat
get-
healthy.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
McDonald's
It's sad.
right by the Garden.
Don't
like,
do
if you
that.
really
No,
want.
don't do that.
Nah,
Don't do that.
And let me tell you what I have real quick. I have some good roasted potatoes, grilled teriyaki chicken.
I'm with it.
All right. Well, I will say this: I'm very hungry right now. That made me hungry.
Oh, we're getting food. We're getting
Can
food
we
right
find?
after
Can we
this.
find? We're gonna have to find some healthy food.
Yeah.
Good luck with
What
that.
thing we're really gonna eat on this podcast? We're gonna have everybody.
Why not?
We
Let's
told
do
we
it.
said we're gonna have that.
Preferably with a sponsor,
Yeah.
guys.
Yes, sponsors. Hey,
Guys,
sponsors.
Come at us.
Guys.
Come at us. Come at them.
We've talked to a couple of you guys. You can come. You know how to
Yeah,
reach us.
we're growing. You know what I mean?
We're hungry.
starting to reach
We're
more
growing.
people,
Thirsty.
huh?
We're
Michelle,
hungry.
you episode
Yeah.
well over 1,000 on
Yeah.
YouTube only, huh?
Yep. Yeah, that's us flexing on you.
Yeah,
that's us flexing on you. All right, that's a wrap for episode 25 of the Ain't Hard to Tell podcast. We'll have more coming in April, birthday month. Spring should be here. Baseball season will be in full effect. NBA playoffs out on Ain't Hard to Tell podcast. I can't even talk. That's how hungry I am.
Boxing.
Got
mad fights next month.
Boxing. We're all happy. We'll see if Matt's happy. Hopefully the Mets get this win today.
Yes. Let's go Mets.
We'll have more to talk about when we come back. Stay with us. Bryan Fonseca, Dexter Henry, Matthew Finiza, Ain't Hard to Tell podcast.
Take note.
Are you
meet the Mets? Greet the Mets. Step right up and meet the Mets. Bring your kitties, bring your wives. Guaranteed to have the time of your life.
Migos had lips.
East side, west side.
To me, the M-A-T-S Mets of New York town. Of New York, yeah.